All right, let's talk about blood typing. We need to know this. If you're going to be a nurse, you have to be able to blood type properly. You can kill someone if you mess it up. All right. So, the reason we do blood typing is because of transfusions. So, we give a blood transfusion when someone has lost a lot of blood, either due to an injury or surgery, sometimes for an illness, but usually due to accident, right? So we have to match properly. Ideally, we're going to have an exact match. You'll hear some stuff about universal donor, universal recipient. For the most part, we want an exact match. All right. So the types are A, B, O, and AB. And then each of those can either be positive or negative. For most of this discussion, we're just going to look at A and B and O, and then understand that RH is slightly different than these that we're going to talk about. So let's just talk about one thing at a time. So A, B, and O. Now, we're going to back up a little bit. An antigen is a protein coming from outside that the body recognizes as being non-self. So in cases of kids that react to peanut butter, that is an antigen for them. We also, that causes an overreaction. We also have an antigen to vaccines or antigens in vaccines. So when you go get your flu shot, there is antigen in that flu shot, and your body makes antibodies to the antigen. So maybe that's the way we can remember it. Antibodies are made in the body. Antigens are coming from outside the body. So when a person becomes ill with something like smallpox, the smallpox is part of that virus, it's part of that protein. There is an antigen there. The body reacts to it, and that's the antibody, and that protects that person from getting infected again in the future. We don't make antibodies against every disease, but for most diseases, if we survive, we've made an antibody against it and don't get the disease again. I'll talk about smallpox another time. It's pretty interesting. All right. So in this case, the antigens we're talking about now, are proteins found on red blood cells. They are proteins found on red blood cells. Now, most of us are type O, and we don't have either antigen on our cells. All right. Antibody is a defensive protein made by the body directed against specific antigens. All right. So, gamma globulins found in the plasma. We mentioned those. All right. As they're saying, many antibodies are directed against infectious microbes and viruses. All right. What we're talking about here is antibodies against other antigens, such as those on red blood cells received in a blood transfusion. They are going to clump and inactivate the antigen-bearing cells. We do not want a bunch of clumped up red blood cells going through somebody's capillaries, because it's going to make a raft and it's going to be too big to get through the capillaries. We don't want it. It'll kill them. All right. Now, we've got a red blood cell here, right? And then on it, you see this little purple thing represents a surface protein, which is an antigen. All right. Here you see a different red blood cell with a different antigen on it. And in this blood is an antibody against this triangular green antigen. In this plasma, there is no antibody against this little purple semicircle. So here we have the raft, right, where that antibody, which is Y-shaped, grabs onto 2 cells, another antibody's grabbed onto those 2 cells, and here another one's grabbed on. So you can see how it makes a raft, because each one is grabbing on to 2 cells, and that cell could be grabbing on to several different antibody molecules. So if this is a person with type A blood, they have antibodies against type B blood. So if we give that person that's type A blood the type B cells, it will react with them. So a person with type O blood does not have the A antigen and does not have the B antigen. Most of us are type O, so that means we do not have the A protein, we do not have the B protein. We do have antibodies against type A and type B, and we really don't know why we have those antibodies without being exposed to the blood. Haven't had a good explanation.